the new AI challenge just rolled out, and um, pretty excited. Pretty excited.
Yeah, we'll definitely mention that. They also have the MVP challenge as well. All right, I got 12:15. Without further ado, let's get started. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Hopefully, you can see the screen. Welcome to the Copilot Show, episode 4, harnessing AI for next level productivity. You know me, I'm your host, Chris Cognetta, just back from Power Platform, but excited to have my, I'd say, partner in crime, Sharon Weaver, join us. Hey, Sharon, thanks for joining us.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This why we do these things is for you guys, the audience, and it's really about real world stories. So Shannon has been spending a lot of time in the real world with a lot of people using AI, just like myself. So I thought it'd be great to bring her on board. I'm going to let her introduce herself and talk about her credentials and her company, and then she promises to go out and show us some good stuff. And again, as we do, open mic. Ping content, conversation in the window, whatever we can do to help answer. And really, this is about sharing, right? Getting that word out. So you already know me. Sharon, over to you. Why don't you do a quick intro?
So I'm Sharon Weaver, like you said. I am the founder of a company called Smarter Consulting. We're a Microsoft partner. We have most of our expertise is in modern work. So I kind of joke that like this is my time because everything's, modern work has gotten more modern. I've been in the Microsoft ecosystem for a long time. I've been in technology for almost 30 years. And I've picked up a few credentials along the way. And basically that just means that, tech is kind of my hobby.
Tech is the hobby, right? Can you, for the people on the call that may not have heard the term modern work, can you explain what it means?
Yeah, so modern work basically just is kind of like what's next, right? So how can we get the most out of the tools that we've got, and what tools are out there? And we think of modern work right now as like cloud-based, best of breed, interconnected, maybe, single source identity. AI definitely falls into that bucket. So it's, modern work is ever changing because it's what's kind of the newest, biggest, best that can make my life better, easier, more efficient across the board.
Yeah, and modern work, obviously, it's all the Copilot stuff. So if you hear about, from a Microsoft perspective, they talk about modern work sellers and all these different people engaged. All you guys need to know that modern work means latest and greatest tool sets, and those are the things we're working with. So I know you have a deck. So if you want to, I can stop sharing, but let's talk about your title first, right? With AI today, a lot of people are saying, show me the goods, show me where I gain my productivity, right? We're seeing all these numbers coming from everywhere. We're seeing salespeople gaining 4 to 6 hours a week back because summaries are automatically generated and they're getting meeting notes and they're seeing insights. We're seeing Copilot and M365 Copilot help people build presentations using both generative AI and the capabilities of your knowledge bases, your internal data sources, and recently announced the Agentific, right? Using bots and how and those are some all new things that you'll see in the next upcoming shows. We're going to do one specifically on these new features, hopefully for the next show. But from a productivity perspective, give us your thoughts around the title and what you were thinking.
Yeah, so I put this together. Long story short, this is stuff we do every day, right? So we think about like, what are the things you do every single day? And if you think back throughout the years, I always like to think about how we've progressed and how things like, I remember when email came out. I remember when I had a life. Can you even imagine a life before email existed? I remember a life before chat existed. I remember a life before texting existed. I remember a life before, a lot of things came out. And so as those tools have been developed, obviously they're a little bit of a two-edged sword, but we think about what they've done for us in terms of productivity and what it's allowed us to accomplish day to day. And so, as we think about where we're at today, and I mentioned I do a lot in modern work, and I really am a big innovator, futurologist, whatever you want to call it, whatever is like the next best thing that's going to make my life easy, I am on board for. So, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how AI is really changing the game in productivity, and maybe a few little tips and tricks of things that I do every single day. I'm not going to sell you Copilot. I'm not going to sell you on the vaporware of what might be or what could be. I'm going to show you real things that I do, and real links and real information that I think can really help you kind of up your game a little bit.
And that's what we're all about, right? Real world AI, seeing it in usage, understanding it, also understanding we're at the basement level. This is just the start. There's lots of things coming. There were 700 enhancements announced at Power Platform to the Copilot solutions across 365, the business apps and the service line apps, which is absolutely amazing, right? And it's going to continue that way. But the point is, don't get left behind. Start to look at these technologies, start to see how you can harness them, because with the tips that we're about to give you, because if you don't, you will be left behind. So with that, do you want to take over the screen, Sharon?
Yep, I'm going to take over right now, and
Perfect.
this is going to be a lot of information. So we're going to see. Hopefully this will do what I want it to do.
Yeah, we got it right
So
there.
hopefully you can see my screen. So I've kind of put this little slide deck together. I wasn't sure exactly how much time I'd end up with, so I tried to be over prepared. I always like to have more content than I need. So I'll pop through a few little pieces of information to you guys, and then I promise we'll do some demos, because I want to show you some of the coolness of this. I've got this in PowerPoint. I'm just going to leave it up this way because it's a little easier than trying to do the presentation view. But there we go. Okay, so a little bit of information about me. I know Chris did a great job kind of introducing me. The biggest thing I really want to share with you guys is, if you want to connect with me, feel free. Follow me on, you can find me. It's not hard to find me. Just go to social media and look, or go out on the web and look. I'm out there. If you need any help, let me know. I'm always around to help answer any questions. So, really, I want you to understand kind of when we're talking about AI and Copilot, like what this stuff is. But what is it? How does it fit into the modern workplace? And how is it going to help me do better day to day? That's really what this whole slide is about. So, what is Copilot? So, I don't know if you're a tech and sci-fi nerd like I am, but I mean, if you're on an AI call and you're early in, my guess is odds are good that you're probably some sort of a nerd, geek, sci-fi fan interested in cool stuff, right? So, what is Copilot? And this is the easiest way that I like to explain it. It's kind of like Jarvis, only very, very young, very, very early. Its job is there to help you do things. And if you think about Iron Man and you think about how Jarvis kind of helped him day to day, he could do everything from turn on the lights to answer questions, to go get information, to make things happen, right? And eventually, it's kind of funny. I've been in SharePoint since since SharePoint rolled out, and people used to be like, "Yeah, Sharon, but can it make my toast and can it make my coffee?" And I'm like, "You wait, one day it will." And I feel like this, now you can, right? Now you can tell your assistant, and I'm not going to say any names because I don't want to turn them all on. You guys all have them. I could say to my assistant, hey, start the coffee maker. And if your assistant connections, plugins, smart devices are all plugged in and set up properly, it really can do that. And so I think the exciting thing about this is that what's happening is Copilot and AI are starting to help us with day-to-day tasks, and that's extending into the workplace, beyond your home life.
You know, our CEO, Chuck Ingram, says this all the time. He says, I got all these great tools and devices around. Why can't my business work like home? When I walk in through a supermarket and I get a beep says I got to get this, this, and this, why can't your device tell you when you're on site at a client instead of having your salesperson type it in, right? It can. We need to change our mindset from the tech that's there and embrace and use some of these things. And I think that the adoption has been great. It's been very fast and rapid. I think they said 500,000 organizations have already been implemented a version of Copilot already, from the numbers at Power Platform. So, keep going, Sharon. You're talking our language.
It's only gonna get bigger and better. I agree. Like we are like basement. I mean, we're like subterranean at this point. There's so many opportunities out here, and it's gonna explode. I feel like this is very much like when the dot com explosion happened and everything just went nuts. We're in the same place. And right now, I mean, Copilot is very, very, very new, just starting to get leveraged across different things. But right now, you can see it in places like Power Platform solutions, tools, M365 tools, so Office and Teams. You see it in GitHub, which is kind of where it was, I don't know if it was first, but very, very early on. And right now, developers will say you can pry GitHub Copilot out of my dead cold hands because they use it so much and so well. Copilot Studio is there to leverage and create your own copilots going forward. So it's kind of like creating your own GPTs if you've been playing in the GPT world. It's just branded Copilot for Microsoft.
Two interesting numbers that coincide with what you said there. The GitHub first month, 40% of all code written. First month, 40% of all code written was AI generated.
Wow.
And it's not that it's just AI generated, it's actually using the repository across the board. So if you build a function that turns on a light switch, and then someone starts to code a function that turns on a light switch, it's going to say, hey, Sharon already wrote this light switch code. And by the way, she's been running it for 6 years. So if you add it to your project, you now have added 6 years of credibility to your project. And this is all because the AI knows the index, the code, and what's there. Also, 71% of people that have been given any Copilot, whether it's 365, GitHub, or the sales service tools, will not give it back.
Dude, I, I tell people they don't like, well, why does it even matter? If any of you guys have used Designer in PowerPoint before all this rolled out, they were like, I was like, it's kind of like me telling you, you have to give up Designer in PowerPoint. And anybody who lives in PowerPoint would be like, are you kidding me right now? That's what Copilot is to me at this point. Copilot is what Designer has been to people for a long time.
Right.
So this is, high level. Basically, we can create content. It can help you prepare and plan. And it can also help you catch up. So when we talk about productivity specific, we're not getting into the dev space, but productivity specifically, the goal here is to help you create content, prepare and plan, and catch up on important info. Those are the big points that I really want you to take home. In addition, it can help you make decisions. And you can think about things like predictive analytics, which basically says I can go into Copilot and I can ask it, I need to do this thing. Can you help me make this decision? I need to plan for this thing. Can you help me have some information on what to expect? And if you think of that kind of generically and vaguely, AI ultimately, as it gets better, as it has more information, as it has more data, it's going to help you make decisions, help you plan, and help you prepare in ways that you probably never even thought of.
And you forgot that nice little disclaimer on the bottom. On every AI generated response, it says that the user is responsible to review the outcome because it may not be accurate, right? So
Yes.
when you're looking at that, just make sure that you understand that these tools are guidance. And, that's why it's called Copilot, by the way, because it's your Copilot. It's there to assist, not replace, right? It wants to help you do things, but along the way, there's some bumps there, and you just can't take what it gives you 100% of the word. Someone was telling me they did a spell checker, and they were using the word Novell, and it came up as Novel, like, for Christmas, and they didn't catch it, and neither did it. So, again, just these are with any new technology, especially this stuff, you need to make sure that you are looking at what the results are, not just the speed it's giving it to you, but also the accuracy.
So trust but verify.
Exactly.
Always trust but verify. Also wanted to throw this link in here just because we're in such a tight Microsoft community. I do want to let you know, if you don't know this is out here, the team that put this together has spent so much time and effort on it. It's a fantastic resource. So if you go to adoption.microsoft.com/Copilot. There is so much good information out here, 100% free, 100% available to help you with your Copilot journey. I just want to make sure everybody knows about this because it's such a great tool and such a great resource. And here's a couple more links before I switch over to the demos. I just want you guys to know about this stuff. So that's the one I just mentioned, adoption.microsoft.com/Copilot. If you go to copilot.cloud.microsoft, there's a ton of resources around Copilot, and this prompts link is fantastic. So a lot of people, the first thing they say to me is, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know. Okay, that's great. It's there, but I've done the two things that I can come up with out of my mind. So if you go to this prompts link, there's a ton of try this, try this, try this, and they're all coordinated to each individual application so that it's the right prompt to use and the right tool for the right things. And it gives you all those ideas to kind of get started. And then the last one, obviously, we can always go to learn.microsoft.com, but there is actually a section for Copilot that's super helpful that will give you some skill building and training. And like you mentioned, the AI challenge is rolling out. And so there's a ton of great stuff out there for you to learn more about Copilot. And I see Chris popping those links in the chat, so that's fantastic. So because I'm an AI nerd, we are going to do a
I'm
demo.
your co-pilot.
You're my co-pilot. This image was created by Dolly, and my background is definitely a Copilot AI image that's been created with teens.
We just started throwing out names, and I bet you nobody caught what you just said. Does anybody on the call catch what Sharon just said? Did you guys hear the name that she used? Oh, we got Jessica. You can come off mute, Jessica. I think you have the ability to if you want to shout it out. I heard it. I heard it meant nothing. Okay, so we were talking about how this image was created in the background, and the image was created using DALL-E, which is DALL-E. Which is another language model for helping create AI graphics and things like this. So yes, you got it, Deb. So, again, we want to make sure we help educate and not just say these words and you guys don't know. So, but that's something that you can use to do graphics. I got a lot of people creating icons. I think you may have seen some of this stuff on Instagram where people are coming up with all of these crazy things, people saying things differently. Those are all AI generated through some of these tools. And there's probably 1,000 now. I think in the beginning there was maybe 10, but it just continues to grow specific tools to do things, whether it's video, audio, commercials. Did you see the one where the AI actually created the whole song?
Yes.
It took two people that were they never did a song together. Not only did it author the song, but it actually was playing on the radio. People thought it was a real song, and it was not. So just amazing. So go ahead, Sharon. Let's get to that demo.
That's super helpful. And I will add, so like I mentioned, I'm a tech nerd. So I like, you guys are out like watching, I don't know, Real Housewives or soaps or whatever. Like all my friends are like, have you seen the latest whatever? And I'm like, no. But you know what I have done? I've tested out the latest AI tools. And so I play in all of them. And as soon as a new one pops up and I get to play with it, I am in it and I'm having a good time. I will tell you, like you mentioned, DALL-E, which is DALL-E, and it's part of ChatGPT. Between that and Microsoft Designer, which I'll show you this. So if you go to, I'll grab this and throw it in the chat since it's right here. If you go to Edge and you go to this website, which is just Bing, really, you can create any images you want, just like I did. And all you have to do is pop in here and tell it what you want, and it will create it for you. And it takes a lot of practice just to kind of figure out what you want. But the great thing in here is if you hover over these images, it'll tell you what the actual prompt is that you created that image. And every prompt has infinite amounts of potential images that can come from that prompt. But the more you can learn, I love Midjourney, Jessica. Yes. The more that you can learn about prompts and starting to kind of play with what you like, these tools are out here. And this particular one is free. And honestly, I play with a lot of different ones, and I've been real happy with the Bing Image Creator. It does a lot of great work. So I definitely suggest that you pop out here and just play with some of these images, and then you can create them and you can do what you want with them. So that's my first tip of productivity is we make images and icons all the time. Bing Image Creator, completely free.
Yeah, I just pasted in the window my big one. I said create a Microsoft MVP holding a Surface laptop. A couple more things that I typed in there that you could figure out, and voila. So again, it's a lot of fun to use them and create it, but it may take hours in the past to go off and try to create something like that in Photoshop. And again, it has access through the prompting and the generative AI to just about any type of brand image that it can find and bring into the website. Really, really exciting capabilities.
So my very top favorite after images, I would say images is my number one.
Okay.
I would say I'm going to be really honest, probably ChatGPT and Copilot, just flat Copilot, not in a tool. Those two from the text like generator are
Yep.
probably my favorite tool across the board because I go to it for everything. I don't search for anything anymore. I simply go, I ask the question, I say, I need this, or tell me about this, or answer this question, or do this math problem. And it will literally give me whatever I need. So you can see, like, if I hover over, like, you'll see ChatGPT is open like pretty regularly on my screen now because I tend to use it for almost everything, whether it's ChatGPT or Copilot, depending on the use case. I tend to use it pretty heavily. However, that said, PowerPoint, guys, you thought Designer was amazing. Wait till you start paying with Copilot.
Everybody prepared for your socks to be blown off.
So if you go into PowerPoint and you just click on this pretty, like I use Designer all the time, it's very common, but I'm just going to click on the Copilot icon instead because Copilot lets me do some different things. Right now, it's pretty simple, but those few simple things are going to be amazing. You can create a presentation about a specific topic. You can pull a file. This one's super cool. So say, for example, I'm creating an estimate or an SOW for a client, and I need to do a pitch presentation for them about that estimate. You spend a lot of time doing it. You then have to create the presentation. You can actually grab an estimate, and it will at least build the guts and the bare bones of the presentation for you, and then you just clean up the images and you're good to go. You can add specific slides about topic as you go. So we're going to do this create presentation because it's really fast and easy, and it actually is super cool to do. And you can do it about anything you want because in this particular case, I allow my Copilot at the tenant level to pull information from the internet as well as from our internal tenant to be able to use with these tools. And so you can literally pick anything that you want and you can say, I want to know about something. So maybe, for example, we moved to Orlando a couple of years ago for my kids to go to college. We're down here for a few years. Maybe, for example, my kids are like, I really want to go to Disney World and I want to know something about what that's going to be. And so maybe you live somewhere else and you're like, my kids really want to go, but I don't know anything about it. And so maybe I want a presentation that I can look at, that I can go over my kids and say, what are the exciting things about Disney World? So maybe I want to create a presentation about a fun trip to Disney World with my children and my children are not this little, but just for funsies, who are 4 and 8 years old. And the more information you give, and this is where prompting gets really important. I have prompts, my husband laughs at me. I have prompts that are like I use OneNote for prompting like crazy, and they just get longer and longer and longer. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm having a good time. But you don't have to have a long prompt to be successful.
No, but that I don't want this point to go unheard. Prompting is the key to AI right now. Okay. If you hear these horror stories about people getting back wrong answers, hallucinations, all that is because they failed to prompt, right? You have to become what we call prompt engineer, right? A prompt engineer is how you talk to the AI what you provide. A great way to give you a baseline if you're just starting out, talk to it like you're talking to a 3-year-old child, right? Very specific, very detailed about what you want, what your intentions are, and you will get the right response. The more
Yes.
that you get into that response and the more that you start doing with your prompting, the better off your response and interaction with AI will be. And you start to learn this, and like Sharon does as well, you start to keep the prompts that work, right? Like I was out all last week, so I go up to copilot.microsoft.com and I say, give me a recap of my entire emails for the week, and I get a whole list out and I say prioritize and put them in a table with what my actions are, and I get the whole list without reviewing my email. Just another way to use that. So you can see here the prompt is generating. Also, this is Microsoft 365 Copilot that we're showing you. So if you want to use Copilot within the office space, that would be the one that you would need. There are different versions, which I know is confusing, but eventually we're told they will all go away and it'll just be part of the products. So check this out.
So in the 30 seconds, while Chris and I were sitting here chatting, I know I make presentations for a living. I spend a ton of time on presentations, and I'm not saying that they're maybe as good as my presentations would have been if I had done them 100% from scratch, but oh my gosh, I didn't have to go research. I didn't have to go look it up. I didn't have to go get information. I didn't have to make this presentation. Now it's a trust but verify situation. So now my job is to go look through this presentation and say how much of it is right, how much of it is wrong. Do I want to change images, things like that? Check it out. It even has speaker notes. So it tells me what it got, why it got it, what that information is. And now I can look through this presentation. It's going to give me all the information that I need with images, very nicely organized, appropriate to say activities for young children, because I mentioned that I had young children. It's going to tell me about the different places I can go, the different things I can do, and even give me a little conclusion.
So you're probably wondering, how does it know all of this, right? Because this content freely available and searchable and indexed on the web, right? But what if your business data was available and indexed and content? Could we do the same thing, Sharon?
Absolutely. In fact, I do this all the time. And if it wasn't in my own tenant showing my own data, I'd probably show you how to do it.
Yes, things that in the recent Power Platform video, in the launch video, I'll tweet it out later if you guys want to actually see it. They did it from a SharePoint list inside where they used a proposal, as Sharon was saying. It brought the proposal, it drew grids and boxes of the proposal from the numbers that were in Word and Excel, brought them into PowerPoint, created it, and at the end they said, and apply the corporate template, and it changed instantly all the logos, all the colors to match what marketing had already done. It probably would have took a week to build that presentation, and they did it in less than, I don't know, five minutes maybe. And that was
Yeah,
because we were watching the video.
yeah, it takes, I mean, I can honestly say that I would spend several hours on a presentation like that overall minimum. And that's because I know what I'm doing and I've done it plenty of times. And it now takes me, maybe less than an hour to build a
Yep.
presentation and then go in and kind of update it. The next thing I want to kind of just give you a real quick view of is Word. So this is once again M365 Copilot. The big thing to note here is that you can use Copilot alongside your Word document to help you draft. So you can basically say, hey, how can I talk about something or give me some ideas? Or, and both, you can use it within your document. So if I click on this little icon, it's going to actually help me to write my document. So I have both options and I can use them together as I want. But maybe I don't know how to do something, or maybe I'm not sure of a template. And so I can actually say, create me a contract that will allow me to hire or onboard, let's say onboard a new contractor. And once again, the verbiage is irrelevant, right? You want to keep it short, simple, sweet. What do you want it to do? What do you want it to include? If there's anything specific that you want to have in there, you can talk about it. And maybe you can say this contractor is a trainer, right? because I want to give it a little bit more information than I normally would. And this is where prompt engineering gets so important. You can reference a file. So maybe if you already have a template, you have something else that you're coming from, that's fine, but you don't really need anything. So I can click generate. And then while we're sitting here, it will, this right here, guys, like if you write documents all day for a living, or if you are constantly pulling in templates, once again, trust but verify. This is not, I would definitely say if you have a legal group, have them review it. If you have a lawyer, have them review it. But when I think about things that I do all day, every day, that I just need something quick, easy, and I'm like, I don't know how to write that every single time. It'll just pull some basic information and get you going. You can make it change. You can keep the one that it made. And then you can then go with your Copilot on the side and you can make it a little bit better, a little bit more specific, a little bit anything.
Yeah, and it can pull it from, again, existing libraries that have statement of works in them, give you the template, give you the language. I like the new little prompt as well that showed the add the reference file.
Yep.
So
So
that
the
lets
last
you.
thing, I know we're like really tight on time, but I want to
Yep.
show you this because it's super cool. Um, what you can do in Excel, I mean, Excel's got all kinds of crazy stuff you can do with it with Copilot now, but it's even as simple as going in here and saying, I want to highlight all the cells with a certain value. Maybe I want to show a suggestion for a column. Maybe I want to suggest conditional formatting, or tell it what you want it to do. And so maybe I want it to sort this information. Let's see.
By the way, as Sharon's typing these things out, you guys do see the microphone there, right? So if you did have a headset, you could just type. You wouldn't have to talk. You wouldn't have to type. You could just talk it into there, and it would do it.
Every day I do this, it gets a little different. So I never
Yep.
quite know what to expect. Sometimes it yells at me, but we're gonna give this a go because I just put some real simple stuff in here. Here we go. Okay. So I said, can you just sort the data in column B? I don't know what buttons to push. I forgot. And so I can say, hey, do this, and it'll say, sure, I can do that. I'm gonna click apply. And immediately, instead of me having to know how to sort the data in column B and find the buttons anywhere, notice that now all of this is alphabetical. Obviously, you can dream up all the cool stuff you can do with this, but I think about day-to-day things that just make my life a million times easier. And to be able to tell something to do that in voice or in chat in a way where I didn't have to hunt and peck a button changes my life drastically.
No, this has been awesome. And guys, the other thing that they did with Fabric is they showed somebody typing in, I want to see the total revenue for each client, and it went and got the data and filled the column right in with all the data in the spreadsheet. That's where we're headed. But I know we're at time. Want to make sure that you guys are aware for our next session. We're going to do a more deep dive into the announcements at Power Platform, along with all the new AI bug bangs and whizzes that came out, so you guys can see more details. We've only shown you just the top level of how you can use it to your daily work. And thank you, Sharon, for coming on and showing everybody. I'm sure you'll be back multiple times throughout our growth here and playing with it. So thank you for taking the time to do that. And thank all of you guys for being here and seeing it. We'll continue to bring you more great content. We'll continue to drill down into this and provide some links. So please stay tuned, and thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great day. Good afternoon.
Thanks, everyone.